What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review. And for my final review of this weekend, I decided to talk about an album that came out last weekend that I actually forgot about, or might have skipped over accidentally or something because there was just other releases I wanted to cover. But because this was hyped by all you guys in the comments telling me, check this out, especially after that disappointing Dark Angel album, I thought, you know what, since I only had 3 reviews, how about I do a bonus review and talk about this? I am talking about the latest offering from Violator, Unholy Retribution. So this came out on September 5th on Kill Again Records. This is the band's 3rd studio full-length overall, and this is a Brazilian thrash metal band, and, well, you guys were hyping this album up big time in the comments, especially in my Dark Angel review, which thank you all so much who actually have checked out that review. That's become probably my 2nd most viewed review of the year behind Sleep Token. So there you go. But regardless, you guys were hyping this up, and I decided, you know what, I want to check this out and get the idea for myself, and, well, you guys didn't swerve me on this one. This is actually some thrilling, kick-ass thrash metal right here, and yeah, this is funny enough my first time listening to Violator, and I know they've been around since the thrash revival of the mid to late 2000s, but this is finally my first time checking them out, and this is their first one in 12 years, which is interesting. But kicking things off with Hang the Merchants of Illusion, awesome build into an aggressive riff that just leads into ferocious thrash, and this album is just at Mach 10 a lot of the times, and like pretty much all these songs have just killer machine gun riffs and tremolo riffs on top of brutal thrash metal rhythms. Like, the drum work on this album is absolutely flying, and I love how on this opening track it almost feels like you're getting a proper introduction to what this album is going to deliver, and it's primarily the bands I would mostly compare this band to in terms of like old school thrash would be old Metallica, old Sepultura, Sodom, Slayer, and Creator. Like, it's those 5 bands I get nods to across the board. Even a little bit of Testament as well. I might as well throw Testament into the conversation. So those 6 bands I get a lot of nods to. And I love how on this opener you get like a real cool Metallica chug after you get into some like punky D beats, which is really, really cool. Like, they add a few extra flavors into their recipe, like punky D beats, some groove, nice, like almost classic heavy metal gallops. Like, as far as when it gets into like the punky D beat style, it's primarily on Hang the Merchants of Illusion and a little bit of a D beat gallop on Chapel of the Sick, which Chapel of the Sick, that one almost feels like a combination of Sepultura and Metallica. Like, you get like those Metallica downstroke riffs, but you get that fast and furious Sepultura vibe of like Beneath the Remains, Arise, Schizophrenic, like, or Schizophrenia, those 3 albums in particular. But as far as like other moments where you get like cool Metallica moments, like Persecution Personality, nice like downstroke riffs, again very much like Metallica, but the song itself feels closer to German thrash, like Sodom and Creator combined. Like, the opening riff on top of a gallop felt kind of like it could have been pulled out of Agent Orange, but the majority of the song focuses more on like Creator, like Coma of Souls era Creator I get a little bit of a nod to. Cult of Death, the 2nd track, almost kind of starts off like blackened thrash. Like, the tremolo kind of felt a little bit like R Noir or even like Destroyer 666, but then it goes back into straight up thrash, and it's very Testament inspired, I hear a lot of times on this track, and even some atonal tags, again adding more flavor to the recipe. Destroy the Altar, this was another one of those songs that has like a cool D beat stomper, but it opens up a little bit on the groovier side But then you do get those punky D beats on with a tremolo riff on top before you get like angular thrash riffs very much akin to Slayer. The Evil Order, I actually love how this one is bookended. Like it starts and ends with like almost a doomy, heavy riff that almost feels like Celtic Frost. Like I get a Celtic Frost nod here at the start and the end of this song. But in between, you get, of course, just furious Slayer and Sepultura tremolos. But of course, you get some more of those like almost classic heavy metal gallops. And even a breakdown, like this is probably the only song on the album that sounds like it has a true blue breakdown. Chapel of the Sick, I've already talked about, and then Rotten Hell dive bombs on top of Insanity before it does have a doom groove, and for the most part it's like a classic thrash gallop, like early thrash, and even blast beats, but they're not like the death metal blast beats, are almost kind of like almost black metal blast beats, which you'll understand if you heard the song. But then the closer, Vengeance Storm, basically mixes everything perfectly, and it's the longest track of the album at almost 7 minutes. But it starts off with like a dark melody, and you get chug and groove, Sodom tremolos, and there's also, of course, some more melody going on. It gets a little bit punky as well, like the rhythm and the riff kind of gets a bit punky. And of course, another moment where it sounds like they're channeling a little bit of Metallica. But I forgot to talk about the leads on here. Lead-wise, it's mostly your straight-up thrash leads, like sometimes big dive bombs like Slayer, but the lead on Vengeance Storm kind of gets into a little bit more melodic territory, like not so much about like crazy dive bombs or just shred-tastic stuff. There's a little bit of melody in the lead on Vengeance Storm. Production-wise, it's raw, it's gritty. I will say probably the only gripe, and it's the most minor grievance I had on this album, I thought at times the snare sounded a little bit almost like industrial. I think if the snare was a little more natural and a little more punchy, I think this could have been a 5 out of 5, because song-wise, every song kills. So I'm going to give this 4.5, and I am talking very close to a 5. Like, this is up there amongst the best thrash metal albums I've heard this year, and maybe in quite some time. Like, holy crap. How have I not checked this band out until now is beyond me. But yeah, this was badass old school thrash by a modern band. So if you're into Sepultura, old Metallica, Sodom, Creator, Slayer, and Testament, check this out. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.